Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. I want to introduce myself first and then just kind of give you a little insight into the Yothera Method Facilitator Training program. I'm so excited to be relaunching this. It's been, well, the last cohort was 2021 and graduated end of 2021. And so this is such a big deal that it's time to start again. And this time it will be more of a streamlined, consistent offering, and I'm really excited to share that with you. So my name is Jessica Maitrey. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been in private practice for 15 years now, and I have over the years transitioned from traditional therapy approaches to more holistic, embodied, and intuitive work. So about 7 years ago, I became a yoga therapist and started incorporating more of the body talk, the yoga therapy, the internal family systems, psychology of the body into my practice. And then I also became a tantric breathwork practitioner through the Breath Center. I incorporate more of that into my in-person groups. And then I'm also an intuitive. So I incorporate intuition into everything that I do. My intuitive abilities have skyrocketed over the last 5 to 7 years, and it wasn't something that I was seeking. It just started happening, and then I started to hone it, and now I teach it and also offer channeled messages as well for those that I work with. And it's really been fun to really bring this into my work and share it with others that are also helping professionals don't really know where to go with their gifts, and they know that they have them, but they don't really know exactly how to use them or how to teach them to their clients, or how to even assist their own clients in developing their intuition. So my work has also incorporated brain spotting. And so that is the most recent development of the Yothera method that's been super fun for me. I'm a certified brain spotting practitioner. And then I'm also going to be becoming a certified consultant for the brain spotting group. So I'll be able to consult other brain spotting practitioners that are wanting to get certified as well. So that's really a fun and exciting upcoming development for me. In about a month, I'm starting that program. And yeah, excited to bring more of the brain spotting aspect into the Yothera method, which is part of why we are starting again. The Yothera method is ready. There's this added layer of bringing brain spotting. Also, we call it focused mindfulness, because I can't technically train people in brain spotting, but I can train people in the Yothera method with some brain spotting practices woven into it. So that's how I'm going to be teaching it. We call it focused mindfulness, and it's something that you can use with your clients, and you don't even have to be brain spotting certified. So that being said, that's a little bit about me. Like I said, the background of the Yothera method, it's been about 3 years since I've taken a cohort through. And so this is really exciting because it feels like it's come full circle, and there's more to be digested in this process. So I've got a little slideshow for you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to expect for phase 1. Phase 1, so the Yothera method is 3 phases. We'll get into this in a minute. But phase 1 is going to be this October 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2024. And it's 9 to 5 Mountain Time every day. It's all on Zoom. And you will also receive 20 continuing education credits. So I'm really excited that it got approved for that. Thank you, Elevated Life Academy. I'm so excited that they sponsored it. And so that's exciting. So it's October 4th, 5th, and 6th for phase 1. And the Yothera method, to become a facilitator, a trained facilitator, you would need to go through all 3 phases plus an in-person component. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but overall you have about a year to do all 3 phases, and then the in-person component where you just kind of show your skills, and also it's a great opportunity to meet other people, other practitioners, and things like that. So there will also be an option for those of you that can't travel for some reason to also be able to still get certified if you can't make that in-person component. So we'll get into that in just a bit. So let's talk about phase one. I'm going to share my screen with you. If I can, let's see. Dun, dun. Share screen. Okay. So I like to say in the body lies the gold. So the Yothera method is an inner alchemical journey. And so all of the languaging that I use has a lot to do with alchemy. And so you'll notice that as we continue here. So again, here's the details of phase one, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 5, Mountain Time each day. And then I just want to let you know that there is an early bird discount that goes through September 6th. And also I offer discounts for groups of 4 or more. So that can be like if you work for an agency and there's at least 4 of you that want to go through this training, then I would also give you a discount. You could just email me with your questions. And if you're interested in that, you can just email me at hello@yothera.com. And then just so you know, here's the website, yothera.com/facilitator-program. You'll have everything that you need there. So I've already kind of told you a little bit about myself, but let me just also note that, you know, my own personal journey away from traditional therapy, by traditional therapy, I mean, I don't diagnose anymore. I don't do any of the treatment plans, any of that, because it has kept myself and my clients in a box. And it hasn't allowed me to freely flow with the intuitive messages that I receive from, you know, spirit or their higher self and all of that. It's harder. It became harder for me to bridge these two worlds. And so I personally have moved away from traditional therapy. You, however, do not have to. If you're a therapist, you don't have to move away from traditional therapy in order to bring the Yothera method into your work. I didn't say this before, but the Yothera method it's not just for therapists, it is for any practitioner that works one-on-one with clients. And we'll get into that in just a minute. So I'm also, you know, highly sensitive person, highly creative, and I do tend to attract other professionals that are like myself, that are just hungry for new approaches, new ways to be in their profession, new ways to continue their own growth that is beyond what they learned in school. And also I tend to attract other professionals that are feeling a little isolated and burnt out, and they're just like really wanting to connect and be more creative and expansive and inspired again. So what is the Yothera method? The word Yothera, it's a combination of the word yoga and therapy, but yoga doesn't just mean the poses. That's something that we in the Western culture have really kind of confused. Okay, so the word yoga just means union, like union of body, mind, spirit. So that is my intention in the word Yothera. It's not the poses, although sometimes we can, but it's not alignment poses, if that makes sense. So it combines the union of body, mind, spirit, and therapy. And by therapy, I mean, we do use some psychology principles and things like that. So it's a 3-phase therapeutic modality that teaches therapists and helping professionals how to bring more embodiment and intuition into their work with clients and also their own lives. So emphasis on also their own lives, because if we're not embodying these concepts, it's even harder to teach our clients. So in the Yothera method, it's always teaching the practitioner first. You know, physician, heal thyself. You know, it's that concept. It's how can you bring these concepts more into your life, embody them on your own, and then almost like put your own flavor to it when you share it with your clients. The Yothera method combines both brain and body practices that bypass talk therapy or logic, also known as the prefrontal cortex. Okay, so most of the Yothera method, yes, it engages the prefrontal cortex, especially phase one, which we'll get into in a minute. but only long enough to gather some information in order to dive deeper into the midbrain, the brainstem, and like really getting down into the nervous system, where that's where all the healing happens anyway. So that's the subconscious mind is the deeper parts of the subconscious that truly heal. That's how we really heal. And it includes a focus on reconnection to the body, intuitive development, and incorporates modern psychology concepts into a truly mind, body, spirit, holistic approach to healing. And the Yothera method is an inner journey that will transform the old material of the ego mind, which is also, we also call that your old story, like who you think you are, right? Into a new story, which is the gold. There's that alchemy again. We take the old story, kind of we break down the old story and turn it into a new story, which is the gold that we access through the body and natural intuitive development. And again, this is just another way of saying it, that the Yothera method is a 3-phase inner alchemical journey that will transform old material of the mind into the gold that lies within your body and subconscious, transforming the lead of the past into the gold of the future. So phase 1, let's talk about phase 1, because this is what's happening in October. Phase 1 is the mind. This is where we focus on the mind. And this is identifying your primary old stories. So it's the breakdown of the participants' subconscious mental programs, defense mechanisms, and ego identity in order to begin the process of transformation. So I like to say this as, how do you get out of the matrix if you don't even know you're in it, right? You have to know you're in a matrix first. So we do have to spend some time getting really clear on what is my old story? Like, what are my beliefs that are really guiding my life that I'm not even consciously aware of? And we break this down and get clear on your old story by using archetypes, like Carl Jung's archetypes, defense mechanisms, blind spots, and lots of other things as well, such as we do use some brain spotting, we use some yoga therapy, and intuitive development, all of that. It's all of that combined with the archetypes, defense mechanisms, blind spots, to dive into identifying what patterns you have been playing out in your subconscious, which have been driving your life. So as somebody that's going to go through phase 1, you will be doing this for yourself first. So you will be going through this for yourself first in order to learn what it feels like so that you can share it with your clients. I've already kind of said this, but the only way to get out of the matrix is to understand that you're in the matrix. Okay. So in phase 1, we not only use psychology concepts to dissect these patterns, but we also include Yothera embodiment practices, which include focused mindfulness, also brain spotting. That's just 2 ways of saying the same thing, to access the deeper brain, subconscious mind, to get clarity around the old story. This is the breaking down of their old self as the lead, right? There's the alchemy again, breaking down the old story as the lead that acts as the fuel in this process of becoming gold. And this frees up the stagnant energy, which is essential. This is the fuel that moves us into phase 2. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the phases with you so that you can see the whole Yothera method process. Although phase 1 in October is just doing what I just went over with you. It's just the mind. But I want to give you this overview picture of what the Yothera method is in case you're curious, like, oh, I might want to keep going to phase 2 or phase 3 eventually, and see if that works for you. So if you do decide you want to keep going after phase 1, here's phase 2. So phase 2 is embodiment. And this is a rebuilding of a new story by connecting with the heart, body, and intuition. So why the body? The subconscious mind is the body, okay? This is what's driving everything. So after phase 1, we move even deeper. So you've got your old story, you've got all the components of it, And then you take that and we put it in the body. And we do this through, like, there's heart coherence practices as well to rewrite. So we're rewriting that old story through heart coherence, also known as heart math, if you're familiar with that. It's getting into a flow state through movement practices. It's internal family systems, it's body talk, it's yoga therapy, it's learning the different emotions connected to the different energy centers. It's how to connect to your intuition. It's how to use the earth. I mean, these are all the things that are helping us to transform that old story through non-linear, non-logical processes that get into the subconscious. Okay. So again, if you want to change your life, do you want to work with the 10%, which is the cognitive, or 90% of the subconscious? Of course, you want to work with the 90% because that's much more effective. Okay. So in this journey, you'll be getting like homework. So even though it's only a weekend process, you will have homework, things that you want to practice. And maybe if you want to go on to phase 2 after phase 1, then you'll have homework to practice and integrate before you enter phase 2. So just putting that out there. And so it's very practical. It's very tangible. You will leave with very practical things that you can teach your clients, but also do for yourself. And also we talk about the senses. So I know that's not on this slide necessarily, but in phase 2, we really dive into the senses of the body and how to learn your own unique language. So speaking the language of your own intuition and how that speaks to you, and then also how to help your clients learn their own language of intuition through the senses. Here's some of the modalities that make up the Yothera method. Mostly in phase 2, right? Brain spotting, yoga therapy, body talk. I've already kind of talked about this. Internal family systems, inner child healing. Now, the reason I put inner child healing is because when we're working with the archetypes and you'll find this out in phase 1, but the archetypes, there's 12 archetypes that we work with. And there is also one other archetype that is kind of the star of the show, we'll call it. And it's the innocent archetype. And that's eventually what we want to rise into, is the innocent archetype, which is that inner child, that play, that bliss, that flow, that trust again, and really working with that. So in phase 2, that's what we start to empower, is that innocent archetype. Also intuitive development, intuitive movement practices, somatic breath work, and other energetic modalities that create lasting change through, again, bypassing that logic talk therapy realm. So by the end of phase 2, participants have identified the key components to their new story that speak to their subconscious, that aligns with the language of their bodies and intuition, by connecting to and empowering that innocent archetype that I just talked about. So by the end of phase 2, participants are even more familiar with their new story of who they truly are. They're embodying it. They have tools to walk in the world with this new story and start to really, when it comes down to it, energetically vibrate at a different level, which is going to attract different things in their life. Understand how to work with the systems of the subconscious in a more conscious way to create their new story. And this is basically the story that you're consciously choosing to step into. And also the story of you. That new story isn't really new, right? It's the story of who you've always been. And so it's just uncovering that. By the end of phase 2, participants express feeling more self-deterministic, sovereign, and free. And the new story is simply the best parts of who they already are. So phase 3, if you choose to continue forward, I just want to give you the whole picture, okay? So phase 3 is called the elixir. Being seen is love. And I love phase 3 because this is solidifying the gold. It's like you identify the old story in phase 1, you move that old story as fuel into the body to rewrite it into a new story in phase 2, right? And then from there, you move into solidifying it, like really solidifying the gold, which is really attunement with a group. So attunement and witnessing of the old story. So there's lots of ways that we can witness each other, lots of ways that we can support one another, and also ways that you can self-regulate and self-attune with the earth, and just practices that will continue to help you refine and be supported as you step more and more into your new story and keep refining that new story, because it will change. You're going to keep shedding layers. It's not just going to be this one-time process. It's like it's a process that you keep coming back to. And in phase 3, it's becoming more loving and compassionate of yourself. And that brings more love and compassion for others. So it's really kind of like that mirror effect. The more we can self-love, right? Love ourselves, have compassion for ourselves, that's easier to do for the world, really. And there's also a clear witnessing of oneself and others by sharing of new stories. So we also learn how to be sacred witnesses. In phase 3, it's learning how to really witness another from clear, almost like innocent perspective is what I call it. So how can you really witness and attune to another person while they're sharing and showing their new story? And a lot in the past, when I've done retreats like Yothera Method retreats and things like that, we've shared our new story beyond language. So some people will dance their new story and be witnessed in a clear, innocent container. Some will paint something. Some will write a poem. Some will sing a song or write a song, something like that. Others can just like share it with words, and that's totally fine as well. But it's really kind of like, how can you really embody your new story in this way? And then be seen in it and witnessed in it. And it's learning to cultivate unconditional love and compassion. And then grounding and anchoring your new story into your life. So again, I really want to encourage you guys to remember that what we're talking about here is you're going through this as a practitioner so that you understand what it's like when you take your clients through, and how you can use some of these tools to take your clients through this process, no matter how long that might take. It'll depend on the client. Everyone's different, but you will have tools to be able to take them through parts of this journey or all of this journey, depending on where they're at and what they need. And then connection with the earth. We're going to talk about the science of grounding, internal, external resourcing. All of that is in phase 3. And I've talked about this already a little bit, but in the Yothera method, the concept of intuition or higher self is also known as the innocent archetype. And this part of you reminds you of your true story of innocence beyond conditioning, ego, or past traumas. So what is brain spotting? For those of you that aren't familiar with it, also known as focused mindfulness. Let's tell you a little bit about it. Brain spotting was discovered by David Grand. It's a modality that uses the visual system, so where you look, right? The visual system to find relevant eye positions that are seen as access points to locate the necessary information to be released or focused on. So David Grand likes to say, based on the idea like where you look affects how you feel. You can even play with this right now. When you look to the left versus to the right, I bet you feel differently. When you look to the left and up versus to the right and down, I bet you feel differently. So you can just kind of like play with that if you want to, but it releases. It's a technique that releases unconscious beliefs about yourself that might be holding you back. That's why we use focused mindfulness in all of the phases, because it's such an amazing additional tool to the embodiment, to the intuition, all of it. It's such an amazing tool that can just even take us deeper, because when we find the relevant eye position to help you find your intuition, or we find the eye position to help you release the old story, I mean, it just really gets down into the brainstem and into the nervous system to help rewrite on a deeper level. It can also be used to anchor you into a more expansive, intuitive part of yourself that you've been struggling to access in the past. And brain spotting is highly effective, and it promotes rapid healing as it bypasses the thinking, right? The prefrontal cortex, it bypasses that that part of the brain and analyzing area of the neocortex, because it's difficult to heal while we're analyzing. So traumatic events can be processed more effectively as we move past the neocortex to the subcortical part of the brain. And the subcortical is a more primitive part of our brain. It houses sensations, emotions, colors, memories, intuition, which is exactly where we're accessing when we do the yoga therapy, when we do the brain spotting, all of it. And also our intuition is we bypass that logical brain, move down into the deeper brain, the midbrain, and that's where everything that we're working with is stored. So it's a great, quick tool. And of course, what is intuition? Let's just talk about that for a minute. Intuition is a process where the brain uses past experiences and cues from the self and the environment to make a decision. Okay, so intuition does pull from that. It pulls from past, it pulls from the subconscious because it's coming from the same part of the brain. But it also, and I'll say this in a minute, but it also comes from something beyond that. When we can tap into that, we can also tap into intuition that comes to us from not where we've been. It comes from a higher perspective. So intuition is kind of like a decision that happens so quickly that it doesn't really register on a conscious level. It's almost just like a yes, no in the body, or a yes, no in the midbrain. The deeper subconscious is a yes, no. And so it's not something that you usually think about. And this intuition, it exists in all of us, whether we acknowledge it or not, which is why breaking the stigma around intuition with clients is super important, because unfortunately, intuition has been placed in this category of like only certain people have it, or you're special if you have this, or like it's woo-woo and out there. And we're here to bridge that and to normalize it and let your clients know that it's happening, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. So why not acknowledge it? And why not use it to your advantage, right? So we're always using our intuition, whether we're aware of it or not. And intuition is the way that the subconscious mind communicates with the conscious mind. And the information that informs that intuitive feeling is real, comes from real data stored in the unconscious. But as I just said, intuition can also come from higher wisdom that isn't necessarily unconscious. And intuition is the ability to know something immediately without logic or reasoning. Using it as a therapeutic tool, like I said earlier, it's important to break the stigma around intuition in therapy first. And it begins with normalizing and educating ourselves and our clients about what it really actually is. Usually clients who embrace intuition, they tend to lean towards spiritual, the belief that there is something greater than us beyond our human understanding, but that's not always the case, especially when it's explained properly. So you could have a client that is atheist or anything like that, and this can still apply. This can definitely still apply to them. So normal intuition is important. Normalizing it is important because it's something available to everyone. Some misconceptions about intuition I feel is important to go over. Some misconceptions are, that the universe or intuition are out there somewhere. I think I've already talked about this. You have to be super spiritual to access it. No, that's not true. So the universe spirit isn't out there. It's actually within you, and it's in everything and everyone. It's all around us. Therefore, it's intertwined in the ordinary moments of life. You don't have to just sit and meditate to access it. It's actually happening all of the time. The key to amplifying it is learning how to be open and curious and willing to receive messages beyond our human understanding. That is kind of key to kind of opening and blossoming and growing our intuition, is that curiosity beyond what we think we know, which is really part of the innocent archetype. When you go back into the inner child, it's all about curiosity and play. And I wonder what's going to happen now. And I kind of want to go do this, or I kind of want to go do that. But it's not linear. It's not controlling. It has no agenda, right? It's just open and curious. And once you shift into this state of willingness to receive and release any personal agenda, the signals are less like ethereal, and they're much more incorporated into the routines. Like a lot of my intuitive hits will come from like doing the dishes or in the shower, or, you know, or even when I'm driving, because you're in a flow state, you're just kind of like going throughout your day, and then boom, 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 because you're not trying to control it. You don't have an agenda. You're just, your brain is in a different space that's more open to receiving. And that really helps helps your clients understand that intuition is something that's really always happening. You don't have to try. So that was a little overview. Let me tell you a little bit about about kind of the purpose of the training and who it's for. Okay. So the Yothera Method Facilitator Training is designed to offer therapists and helping professionals who work one-on-one with clients, giving them a totally new way to empower and express themselves within their profession, as well as learning a new way to empower your clients beyond talk therapy. This is so important. Phase 1 frees individuals from the deeply rooted unconscious patterns of their old story that inhibit them from living their most authentic life and feeling truly alive. It gives them full access to their unique gifts, aligns them with their purpose, and supports them in their most authentic self-expression. The methods that are used in phase 1 include embodiment, intuition, and focused mindfulness techniques to assist clients in accessing their subconscious old stories. So those are the 3 techniques that we will be learning, along with what I stated earlier around the archetypes, the blind spots, the defense mechanisms, like really using that psychology, those concepts, along with the embodiment practices. That's how we're going to hone in on phase 1. And this is who it's for. Okay, so see if you fit these categories. Phase 1 is for therapists and helping professionals who are committed to inner personal development and holistic healing, and also committed to supporting their clients through a similar journey of deeper embodiment and natural intuition. It's for therapists and helping professionals who have tried traditional therapy approaches, but they feel like there's something more. There's something missing. It's maybe not feeding your soul anymore, and you seek a more authentic and holistic approach to your work. Therapists are helping professionals who have tried traditional therapy, but feel there's something. Oh, I think I said that twice. That's great. Therapists are helping professionals who are open to trying a new method of therapy that involves more of the subconscious mind, body, spirit, and developing their own intuition, as well as encouraging clients to do the same. So in this weekend immersion of phase 1, you'll be studying the 3 layers of the mind, including the conscious, unconscious, and collective unconscious, according to Carl Jung. Students will study and learn about defense mechanisms, cognitive dissonance, natural resistance of the ego, according to Freud. And they'll be working with Jungian archetypes, shadow work, and integrating hidden blind spots that get in the way of healing and growth. Students will be practicing specific methods for bringing this work into the work that they do in the world, as well as treatment methods that are therapeutic in assisting their own clients to move through the breakdown of mental constructs and barriers of their old story. Students will learn how to incorporate subconscious methods such as intuition, embodiment, and brain spotting, such as focused mindfulness and other tools to access subconscious mind, including intuitive movement to assist their clients in identifying their old story. Also, nervous system regulation and how to assist with that as well. You have to attend all 3 days live to receive the 20 continuing education credits, just so you know. That's not my rule. That's Elevated Life Academy. That's their stipulation. So you do have to attend live. You can't just get the recording in order to get the 20 CE credits. However, if you do show up live and you complete phase 1, then you will receive the recording. And if you don't need the continuing education credits, like let's say you're not a therapist, that's fine. That's great. Just come and receive and incorporate this into your work. And again, if you don't need the CE credits, then you can also just get the recording. I will say that in order to be a facilitator, like if you want to go through the whole journey and become a Yothera Method Facilitator, you do have to attend live. So also if you know that you want to go all the way through, and become a Yothera Method Facilitator, make sure you can make this live. Also, just to get the CE credits if you're a therapist, but also so I can meet you and see you. And it's just better that way, right? Know that you're absorbing the information and all of that. So this is phase 1 of the Yothera 3-phase facilitator training. Students must complete all 3 phases and other certification requirements, which I've already talked about, to be considered a certified Yothera Method practitioner. Okay, so but if you don't want to go all the way and do all 3 phases and the in-person component in order to be like on the website and in the cohort, you know what I mean, and all of that, that's totally fine. You can just do this and, you know, take what you learn and apply it right away. So there's no pressure to continue. We'd still love to have you just for phase 1. And if in the future you want to continue, then great. Here's the details again. Reminder that the early bird discount goes through September 6th. And again, there's components of groups. So if you have a group that you would like to take through this, or you want to offer it, let's say to your employees, if you're in an agency or something like that, then you can email me and we'll talk about discounts. Okay. If you want to connect with me, here's my Instagram, Yothera. There's an underscore there, which you can't tell because it's underlined, but Yothera_method. You can also find me on Facebook, Jess Maitre, or I also have a business account, which is Yothera Method. And my LinkedIn is Jessica Maitre, and then my email is hello@yothera.com. Let me stop the share. Awesome. Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here with you. Please let me know if you have any questions. I hope that you'll join us. And if you're listening to this ahead of time, I am doing a free recording. So this is the free recording that's coming out to you. And you will be receiving this in your inbox. And then I'm also, if you're not receiving this on August 15th, then you will, you'll still be able to access this recording, so you can go back to it and look at the details. But please, if you have any questions beyond this, email me at hello@yothera.com, or if you're connected to me on social media, you can also email me there. So I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Have a lovely day.